All right, welcome to Cultural Entropy. So this is going to be a book review for Roadside Picnic by the Strugatsky brothers. I believe I'm saying that right, unfortunately. So anyway, I've been getting back into my reading and writing kick over the last few months, and I've been kicking around trying to find what other people say is one of the seminal sci-fi books because trying to dip my feet back into the well of different types of genres and Roadside Picnic came up, and I am familiar with the Stalker games and the Metro games. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to check this out, and it did not disappoint. So for those of you that are not aware, the summary of this is that basically aliens have left debris behind on Earth in certain zones, and whatever the intelligence was behind leaving the debris behind, um, mankind can't understand it, and it could be for a whole bunch of different reasons. That's what the uh, title of the book is, Roadside Picnic. And there are certain individuals called stalkers that go into these zones and get the artifacts and bring the artifacts back out, the swag. And there's a whole bunch of different groups and organizations that have their own motivations and goals regarding the swag that's brought out. And there is a main character by the name of Red, and he is navigating the situation, to the best of his abilities. Trying to maintain his autonomy in the process. That's basically the summary of it. It doesn't entirely follow a traditional structure. It's almost four interrelated stories involving the zones. But overall, like it has kind of a theme to it leading towards an end. And it does deserve all the praise that it gets. I'm one of those guys like with your Blood Meridians that I tend to think things do get a little overrated because the hype for them gets in the way of what they actually are. And I would say that Roadside Picnic is guilty of this, but it's not its fault. It is a very good book if you're into sci-fi, and it's even more amazing because it was written during the middle of the Cold War. It was written in 1970. It was able to basically pass through the Soviet censors and get published, and then actually come to the U.S. The forward was probably the most annoying thing by Ursula K. Le Guin. Um, that was probably the most ideologically distracting thing in the book, considering that in order for this to get through the Soviet censors, it has to both be anti-capitalist and pro-Soviet at the same time, while at the same time, through reading it, it is a critique of the Soviet Union and pro West, altogether at the same time. It's very unique because it is something that exists outside of influence. It is just honest and sincere and things like that. Like they stand up to scrutiny and they can be basically timeless. And that's what this is. It is very ethically enlightening. It made me stop and think a few times, which is a good sign of a book. There was a speech at a certain point that did kind of get distracting, pulled me out of the story involving some philosophy. But outside of that, like it was a very straightforward book that like did get immersive, and I did like it a lot. It was very simple, and simple is not necessarily bad. And considering that this was a translation from Russian to English, that didn't get in the way either. I like the style of the brothers, and I don't really have very much to say from that critique standpoint. Like the thing that I would say, it's only about 193 pages, the edition that I have, and for the most part, I wish it would have been like twice as long. And that's a really good sign that it left me wanting more when it comes down to it. So I could definitely see this would be something that like could be adapted into a television series. There was a book, or excuse me, a movie in 1979 that is very high, held in high regard, called Stalker, based off of Roadside Picnic. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar enough um, that I could see it couldn't be adapted. I don't think one for one into a movie, but it does work in and of itself as in the written medium. So yeah, I would recommend this to like anybody, period. Regardless of whether or not you like sci-fi, whether or not like you like stuff that makes you think or anything like that. I think it's one of those things that probably should be in school curriculums and discussed thematically. So yeah, it's a really good book, and yeah,